Hey guys, so today I have my TCLL tutorial. For those that don't know, TCLL is basically when you have 3/4 of a layer completed, and then this last corner is input incorrectly, and just like e.g., you're going to solve it with one algorithm from here. So there's two different sets. I believe they each have 43 algorithms, and you can tell them apart based on the way this last corner is facing, whether it's facing you or facing the right. So they each have their individual sets inside of there. In this video, I'm going to go over all the algorithms for all the cases, as well as some positions where you might want to use TCLL, what you should be looking for when you're trying to use it in your solves. I don't recommend learning this until you've finished EG, but you can also, if you want to learn it before that, just learn a few of the easy cases, because it is good in reducing the number of bad solves you had because you can't find a good solution on a scramble. So yeah, let's just move on to the algorithms now. So we're going to start off with the hammer set, which is basically named after the first algorithm in the set, and you'll see why in a minute. But to recognize this one, you see that there's this one color facing up right here, and then you're going to have this bar on the right over here, and then on the opposite side you should again have that color. So to recognize these first two cases, and for basically all of this part of the set here, what I first do is I look at it from the top. I imagine looking at it from the top, and so I see on both of these cases you have bars right here going horizontally. So that's the first thing you recognize. But to differentiate them, you then want to look at this color right here in the top right and compare it to the color of the bar, and then that's going to show you the difference between those two cases. So in this first one here, you have green and blue. So if they're opposite, that's when you're going to do this first algorithm, which is just you do sledgehammer twice, which is why they call this, I assume why they call this one hammer set. So again, R prime F, R F prime, R prime F, R F prime. So again, this one's very easy. The other alg for this horizontal bar here is also very easy. You just start off with the Y prime, then you do R prime, U2, R, U prime, and then basically instead of rotating and inserting like this, you just finish off with F, R prime, F prime. That way you don't have that, you can save a rotation basically. So moving on to the next two cases, they look similar to the first two where when you look from the top you see this bar, but now it's going vertically. So that's the main difference between those first two cases. And again, once you see that there's this bar here, you compare it to the other color that's facing up. Over here you're going to have the opposite colors, and over here you're going to have basically not opposite. So for this case right here, it's going to be F, R prime, F prime, R2, U prime, R prime, U2, R, U, R prime. And for this case over here, well, you're going to hold the piece that's facing up in the back right like this, and then you're going to do R, U, R prime, F, R, F prime, R, U, R prime, U, R prime. And if you look at that, it's basically R, U, and then sledge, and then R, U, R prime, U, R prime. So for these last two cases, they're a little bit difficult they're more difficult to recognize, but I use basically the same sort of methods. So when I look at this from the top, since I don't see any bars immediately, I look at the opposite colors and sort of treat them as a bar. So I see here that the bar is going vertically, and over here it's going horizontally. So that's how I compare those two cases and differentiate them. So for this case over here, you're gonna start off with the U2 and hold this up-facing piece in the front right, and then you're gonna do R prime, F prime, R, U2, and then R, U, R prime, and then F2. And then for this case over here, the last one, you're going to start with the U, so the up-facing pieces in the back right, and then you're going to do R prime, U, R, U prime, R, U prime, R2 prime, F, and then R2, F prime. So another reason you should learn TCLL is just because it has really cool names. This one is called the Spaceship set, and basically it looks like a spoon, except this corner over here is twisted. You have this corner facing up, and then one here, and then you would expect it to be here for soon, but it's over here. So this first case is very easy, but we'll get to that in a second. To compare it to the second case, just like earlier, you see this horizontal bar when you're looking from the top, so then you compare it to the other color here. Over here for the second case, it's going to be opposites, and over here it's not going to be opposites. So when it's not opposites, you do a U2 and it has to be in the back right, and then you can either do a Y or a Y prime, which will obviously change the alg you'll do, but it's just the same thing from a different angle. And basically you're just going to solve this corner as I think most people would. R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, R. So very fast. And then for this one, you're going to start off with a U, and then you're going to do R, U2, R prime, U, and then a sludge, so R prime, F, R, F prime, and then just insert R, U prime, R prime. So I like that case too. So these next cases are a little different than we recognized earlier. You still look at the top, but now instead of seeing a bar, the way I recognize it is that I see these two diagonal colors are the same. And after I recognize that, I just like earlier with recognizing the bars and then this other piece here, I then check this diagonal pair versus this piece here. So over here they're not opposites, and then over here the green and then blue are opposites. So when it's not opposites over here, you start off with a U, and then you do R, U prime, R prime, U, and then R2, U prime, R prime, F, R prime, F prime. So that was a little bit of a unique alg at the end. For this other case over here, you do, again, you start with a U, and then you do R, U prime, R2 prime, F, R, U, prime, R prime, F prime. So the last two cases, they don't have anything too memorable. So when I look at the top, I see here that you have opposite colors next to each other like this going horizontally, and then over here you have opposite colors diagonally. So this one's, I just recognize it as being bad, basically. I remember it because it's forgettable. So for this one here, you want to do U, and then you're going to start off with the sledge R prime, F, R, F prime, R prime, F, R, and then basically instead of finishing off the F prime for that last sledge, you're going to cancel into this alg here and just do U, R, U prime, R prime, F prime. So for this, and then for the last TCLL case for the set, you're going to do a U2, and then R prime, F2, R, U prime, R prime, F2, R2, U, R prime, F2. So that one's the only really one I don't like the alg for that much, but that's also probably because it hasn't been developed as much. So yeah, that is the Spaceship set. So this next one is called the Stollery set, basically because Cameron Stollery was a fast 2x2er, but he always had his hair hang over his eyes, so it looked like he had one eye, like this. So to recognize, basically you have 3/4 of this side facing up, and then you just have this one corner twisted. The algs for this one are, I mean, they're not bad. The recognition is a little bit different from before, though. So on the way I recognize these, I'm looking more around the perimeter. So when you're one looking, you're going to have to look more around here, then, because there's not much information you can tell from up here. So on this first case here, you basically see that if it was twisted, it would be solved. You see that you have a bar here and a bar here, 3/4 of a layer, and on this one, it's just R, U, R prime, U, F prime, R, U, R prime, F2. So, and then this next one, similarly, you just basically see if it's twisted, it would be a Y prime. You have opposites here and opposites here. You start off with a U2, and then R prime, F, R, U prime, F prime, R, U2, R prime, F2. This next case here, when I look on the perimeter, I see that I have this bar here on the left, and once I do that, I do a U, and then R, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime, U, and then sledge, R prime, F, R, F prime. For this next one, since there's no bars, I recognize I have opposites in that they're in the back, and so when I get that, I do R, U, R prime, and basically hedge F, R prime, F prime, R, U, R, U, R prime. Over here, just like the last one, I recognize I have opposites since I have no bars, and here they're on the left though. So I do R, U prime, R2 prime, F2, R, F2, R prime, F2, R. It's a lot of F2s and stuffs in that, but it's not too bad. And then this last one, I recognize I have a bar, and it's in the back. So I do R prime, U prime, F, R, F prime, and then I insert these last two corners like U, R2, U prime, R prime. So this next set is called the Pinwheel set, basically because these white pieces go all around in a circle like a pinwheel. This one only has 3 cases, but to be honest, the algorithms are very bad. I only know one of these cases because the other ones were just, I didn't find them useful at all. I should probably learn them just in case, but yeah. So for the first 2, I'm just reading off something I wrote down on the side. But I do know the recognition because I knew them at some point when I learned it. So yeah, for these first 2, you're just going to notice that on top there's opposite colors here and here, here and here. So you're not going to notice any differences between them on the top. So then to differentiate them, basically you can look at these 2 colors here and here. Basically on this one, they're the same, on this one they're the opposite. Or you can look at it like these colors here are the same, and over here they're opposite. Whatever way you want to do it, as long as you notice the differences between them. On here, there's no like pre-AUF, because no matter which way you hold it at the start, it's going to end up the same. But this one is F prime U R U prime R2 F2 R Y prime R U R prime. So there's like a rotation on there, and it's not too good. There might be better algs that just haven't been found yet. For this next one over here, it's going to be R prime F prime U prime R F R2 U R U2 R. So that one's not too bad. I might relearn it, but yeah. This one I do know. This one is when you have opposite colors and they're more in bars. So, but this one you do have to be careful about which way you hold it though, because it might look like this and this are the same, but they're actually not. So the way I recognize which way to hold it, I know that these 2 can't be the same color. So basically they have to be opposites, and you have to be holding them, these opposite pairs, horizontally. So a little bit odd of a recognition scheme, but it works. So if it was like this, I know I can't hold it like this because these are the same. So I would do a U2, and then it's R U prime R2 prime, and then you do rotate with a Y, and then R U prime R prime U prime R U prime R prime. So yeah, that's the only one for the pinwheel set that I actually use. So this next set is called Two-Face, and like the pinwheel set, it has a weird number of algs. It's 4 this time, and that's because 2 of them have 2 of these have, these 2 sets, these 2 cases here have 180 rotational symmetry, but these 2 here do not. So basically these like take up 2 cases worth. But so yeah, so to recognize these ones, looking from the top, I see that they either have opposite colors or they do not. So for these 2 first, I'll go over them. These are the ones where if you basically did a U2, it's the same case exactly. So like if I told you to hold it like with a U, then holding it with a U prime would give you this. It would just give you, you would still solve it with the algorithm. So to set these 2 ones apart, once I find out that these 2 are opposite colors, I then look at the 2 faces on this corner, and then I look on both of here and here, and compare it to this setup here, and I look for one that's either the same or the opposite. So on this one, red's not it because that's neither opposite or the same of either green or blue, but blue is the same as blue. So once I notice that, I know that since it's the same as this top one, which over here it's just going to be green. It's the same as what I call the top one over here. This recognition is a little bit weird. You can find something else if you want, but that's how I do it. And then, so to solve this algorithm, you do a U or a U prime, and then you do the sexy move R prime U prime, and then basically sexy move with R2s, R2 U, R2 prime, U prime, and then R2. So this one, the algorithm isn't as great, but it's fine. So again, you hold it like this, or if there was a U2, it doesn't matter. And then, so you do R, U prime, R prime, U, and then F prime, R prime, F prime, R, F. So these next 2 cases, again, you start off by recognizing that they are not opposites, and then I move to look at this corner. So then I look I look for a color here that is the same as one of these top two colors. So up here it's blue, and then over here it's green. And so on here it's the top color, on here it's this bottom color here. So again, weird way, if you find something else, then you can do that or tell me to. But on these two cases, if you do a U2, you notice it's a different case, and so basically you can use the same algorithm since you do a U2, but you have to hold it in this specific AUF for this one. So on this case, you do a U, and then a Y prime, and then R prime, U2, R prime, F, R, F prime, R. So I really like that algorithm, and I use it a lot. This one it's similar to the first algorithm I showed you, but you start off with a U prime, and then R, U, R prime, U prime, so the sexy move, and then Y prime, and then R2, U prime, R2, U, R2. So this next set is the turtle set, where you'll see you have this one corner facing up, these two making a bar in front of you, and then the other one just going to be on the side, so almost like the hammer from earlier, except now they're not on opposite sides, basically. So I guess they call it turtle because they're supposed to be like the legs, the head, and the shell if you're looking at it like this. Well, I think I should start off with these two bar ones here. So using the same system from earlier, we noticed that these two bars are here going horizontally when we're looking at it from the top. For the one that is where this piece is not the opposite color of this one, you're going to do a Y, and then R, U, R prime, F2, R, U, R prime, F prime, R prime, FR. That alg's not too great, so I usually stay away from it. And now for the one that is when the bar and this piece right here are opposites, you're going to do R, U, R2, F, R, F prime, U2, R, U, R prime. So that one's pretty fast. So for the one where these two, the diagonal color and the color here are opposites, you can do it one of two ways. The first one is more of a standard algorithm where you start off with a Y prime, and then R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, U2, F, R2, F prime. Oh, and you started with a U prime to set up. But there's another option for that case, which is it's a shorter alg, and depending on the case, you might want to do this. So you start off with a U2, and then it's one in inverse of one you'll see in the next set. You can hold it like this, so I guess the same angle, just with a different setup. And then R prime, U prime, R, U prime, and then rotate with the Y, and then R, U2, R prime. So shorter, but not necessarily much faster. This next one here is very fast when you have this color is not the same, is not opposite of these two, this pair right here. So when that happens, you do a U2 and then sledge, so R prime F, R F prime, U2, R, U2, R prime. For these last two, you're gonna look at the top and you'll either see that you have the opposite colors are right next to each other in sort of a bar, or they're going to be diagonal from each other. If they're right next to each other, this one's really easy. It's just R, U prime, R prime, U, R, U prime, R prime. So for the other one, now where they're diagonal, you hold it from the same angle, and it's R prime, F, R2, U, R prime, F prime, R, U prime, R prime, F prime. So this next set is called Pinwheel Poser, basically because 3 out of the 4 pieces make it seem like it's about to be a pinwheel, but then you look at this last piece and it's facing the same way as this one. So that's how you recognize the basic shape. For the first 2 cases, you see that there's this vertical bar coming up here, and then how I separate them is I look for the other piece, which is either going to be here or here, that's going to be the opposite color. So on this one, if it's in here closer to me on the front, I do a Y, and then I start with sexy, so R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U2, R prime, F prime, R, U, R prime, F prime. This one is a lot easier, but it starts when this opposite color here is in the back compared to the bar. And it's just R, U prime, R2, F, R, F prime. So these next 2 cases, instead of a vertical bar, it's going to be horizontal. And using the same technique, you're going to look for the spot where there's an opposite color now. So orange opposite red, it's back here, so the back right, and then this one is on the back left. So when it's on the back right, I do a U prime, and then start with double sledge R prime F R F prime R prime F R, and then I continue instead of doing F prime into the algorithm. So I continue with R2 instead of R, and then U prime F prime. And then for this one, the algorithm's a bit different. So when it's on the back left, you do a U2, and then F prime U R prime F2 R, and then F. So short, but it's a little bit odd to execute. These next two, you're going to have a little bit weirder of a shape. Basically, it's like these two are opposites and these two are opposites, or you can look at it like these two are the same and this one's opposite compared to them. There's a few different ways to look at it, but basically it's either going to be in like an L like this or an L like this. So when you have, for this case, you start off with R prime U2, and then sledge R prime F R F prime, and then R U prime R prime. So just insert like that. This one you start off with a U2, and then you can either execute it from here or do a Y. So depending on where you get this case from, you can do either way, but it's the same algorithm, you just kind of hold it differently, and it's R prime F R F2 U prime F. And the reason you can do it from the other side is because over here it's something like F prime R U R2 F prime R, which is, I don't know which one's faster, it just depends on which way I'm already holding it. That's the one I usually use. So the last set for TCLL Plus is the gun set. Not quite sure why it's called that because I don't know how this looks like a gun, but it's easily recognizable because it's the only one that has a bar like this in no other pieces basically. So the recognition on this one is a little bit weirder, so you can come up with your own scheme if you want, but the one I use, I mean, it works. So for the first two, well basically for this whole set I recognize with a combination of the colors here and the colors here. So those four colors basically. The first two, you notice that there's this solid bar here, like these two pieces are solved in relationship to each other. So when that happens, I look basically at these two corners and I notice like, okay, if I flip them, would it be solved or would it be like a T-perm? So in this case, I know it's going to be solved since like these are the same colors basically. It's in the right spot. On this one, meanwhile, you would get like a T-perm if you had twisted them. So that's how I separate those two when I'm recognizing. So for this one here, where everything's in the right spot, if you twisted them, the algorithm is R U prime R prime U2 R U2 R prime. This other one is similarly easy. You start off with just doing a sledge R prime F R F prime U R U prime R prime. And after this, the recognition kind of gets a little bit weirder. So for the rest of these, I kind of make like, I look for like this L kind of shape, and I'll try to explain that now by holding it like this. So basically what I mean by an L shape is, okay, so one of these two sides, either here or here, is going to have a pair of opposite colors. So that's here, 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 and then over here it's on this one. And after I do that, I look on the other side that I use for recognizing. So like for here, it's here. If I was recognizing on the top, then yeah, I look on this side. And I look for the color that's either the same or opposite, or that's the same as one of the colors on this opposite pair. So like here I have the blue and green are opposites. Up here I notice that the green one is over here. And then from that, I check whether it's the same or opposite compared to this one. So this is my L shape here, and I notice that it goes like, these are opposites, these are the same. And these are opposites, these are the same. And then this one's opposites and opposites, this one's opposites here and opposites here. So this one, yeah, it gets a little odd for the recognition, but just find something that works for you, that's memorable. I'll just show you the algorithms now, so I stop confusing you. So this one is it's the worst algorithm for the bunch, but so I kind of don't do it that much. But you start for the U prime, and then a Y, and then F prime, R prime, F2, R, F prime, R prime, F, R2, U prime, R prime. This next one here is when you have the opposites here, and then these two are the same. There were no setup, and then R, U prime, U, R, U2, R prime, and then hedge, F, R prime, F prime, R. So this one you have opposites on this side over here, and then these two are opposites as well. So you do U2, and then R, U, R prime, U, R, U, R2, F, R, F prime. And then for the last case, you have opposites here on top, and then these two are also opposites. So you do a U, and then R, U2, R prime, F, R, F prime, R, U, R2.